all about? All right. Yeah, overall balance. Balance. Continue to have balance. Be well. A good Yom Tov. All right. We have everybody in the whole class here?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are on the line that says L'gabe Hazulas. You have that, the third from the top of the page. Because you're on Lamaila Bikelim. I want to add a little bit more of a clarification on this principle that in order to identify and reveal the chitzonius that can be grasped in kelim, that can have a form and a grasp, you have to be malim the pnimis, the etzem. So we'll use a simple illustration, simple mashal. Let us say we have here a table, and on the table we have the sefer. The first and the original thought of this whole setup is that it's good to have the sefer in front of you when you learn. And why? Because this way you can concentrate on the words. And you can delve into the words without being concerned about where is the sefer, get it out, bring it, find it. You have it right in front of you. So you can concentrate entirely on the words of the sefer. Your first thought doesn't come from bottom up. I need a table to put a sefer on. I need a sefer in front of me. That's all I need. And if you think in terms of the functionality of it, that I need a sefer in front of it in order to learn, that concept itself does not translate into a table. That concept is just the way you learn. How do you learn? You learn from a sefer. Then, when you step away from the essence, from the principle itself, you learn from the sefer, and you see it from chitzonius. Chitzonius is that the Sefer is in front of you, and it's being held up. Don't do it, you're learning. That's a very, the essence. This is the Chitzonius. Then you can start thinking, okay, how can we make that the Sefer should be in front of you, held up? But while you're thinking in terms of the learning, you cannot be thinking about a table. Because you're in a different area. Like when you are learning and you're involved in the learning, are you aware that the table is on the table? I'm not aware. You just forget about everything and you're going into the learning. The same thing is the original thought. The original thought is that you were learning in the Sefer. Then there comes when you look at it, Chitzonius, you say, why do you have to hold the Sefer in your hand? You'll make something to hold it up. That's the Chitzonius. Doesn't help you to do learning itself. Helps you to hold the Sefer. But what Chitzonius and Pnimis is what is really happening. That cannot be grasped and cane. Like Chochmah and Bina. Chochmah and Bina. So in terms of the Kelim, we say Chochmah is an Akudah and Bina is the elaboration. But if you think in terms of the Oir HaChochmah, the essence, the essential Oir HaChochmah, Oir HaChochmah is not an Akudah. Oir HaChochmah is seeing the reality. It's an entity unto itself. I see the reality. And that is really a full-fledged sight in itself. It's a real experience. Doesn't lack, doesn't need Bina for its vision. When does it need Bina? When it becomes an Nakuda, when you want to translate it, you want to express it, then you say, this is not enough to express. It's only a Nakuda. To express it, you have to elaborate. But mitzad atzmo, it's fine. I see it.
This is explained with its Pnimis and Chitzonius, but where is the case? When you sit and study from the book, but this is that you study it's Pnimis and this is book on the table is Chitzonius. And where is the case?
The table? No, this whole setup. You're saying how you're sitting and learning. You can describe it. You're not describing the learning. You're describing how you do the learning. But that's a description. You sit by a table and the book is on the table. That doesn't tell you anything about the learning. You can sit by a table and look at the book and not learn.
So the table and book is Chitzonius.
Yeah.
Is the Kelim for Pnimis.
It's not the kelim for pnimius, it's a kelim for the hitzonius of the oir, of the pnimius. The hitzonius of the pnimius. The hitzonius of the pnimius is how it's accomplished. What does it look like? Like I explained to you about the case of Chochmah and Bina. When you see something, a phenomenal thing, that experience of sight is a real experience. You don't say, I haven't seen it unless I can describe it. It's not true. You've seen it. It's a real experience. But if you want to be able to describe it, which means put it in the kelim, you have to dissociate yourself from the experience of the sight. You have to start thinking, what does it look like? What does it do? How does it affect everything around it? How big is it? How small is it? How sharp is it? How clear, everything around it.
And then I put the Chokhmah to the kelim.
That's when you're translating the chitzonius of the Chokhmah into kelim.
The kelim don't give me the whole vision. It's like limited.
No way. You cannot put the essence into the kelim. That's what I say. That when you dissociate yourself from the pnimim, from the etzem, then you can put things in the chitzonius, or you can put in the kelim. You can't put the pnimis or into the kelim. This is why sometimes you can encounter a person who can elaborate on anything. He can tell you a whole Maimorim of Chassidus. But you could see that he's not really into it. He doesn't really relate to it and really understand what he is saying. He knows only that part of the seichel that came into kelim. He doesn't have the essence, the oil. He doesn't really understand it.
Using dry logic.
What?
Dry logic,
Yeah, if he can use dry logic in explaining Chassidus, then it would seem that he doesn't really get the point.
what's the difference between dry logic and really understand? Can you really understand and put this to the midas?
No, understanding is seichel also has a nakud, has an oyer.
You really believe what you say. This is the difference. Dry logic, like you're saying, this is logical, but I really
Logic, in comparison to real seichel, is that logic simply forces you to admit that this is so. You're forced to admit, but not that you yourself recognize it. Seichel also has logic and has insights and explanations, but these explanations are only substantiated. They support that which you already recognize. I understand it this way. Now, why do I understand it this way? That is where the logic comes in.
So you look in logic to explain what you understand.
Right. But I understand it. Kol ze yuvun l'maylo. This whole discussion we will understand the way the Indian is l'maylo, b'kelim da'atzilus. In speaking about the kelim in Atzilus, shehei ma'alim imaletzim ha'oir, that the kelim conceal the essence of the oir, umegalim rak hitzoniyus, and they reveal only the external of the oir. V'davko kishema'alim imal ha'oir hapnimi v'ho'atzmi, and only when they conceal this internal and essential atzmi, essential oir. What does atzmi mean? And explained the other time. That's what I mentioned right now. Atzmi means that I know this union because I know it, because it's true, not because I have proof for it. That's meant atzmi. It's be'atzim true. Kelim can have to conceal this atzmi oir. Then they reveal the chetzonis. Liful piolosam that the kelim should now be able to do their effect, their pull. Kanal benefesh, as we explained before in the nefesh. V'lochein nikra shem Elokim. This is why this is called the Shem Elokim. Shehu b'chinas midas hadin v'hatzimtzum. Shem Elokim represents and has the effect of midas hadin. What does midas hadin mean? The principle of din. There is chesed and din. What is the difference between chesed and din? Din is also true, and chesed is true. The difference is that chesed is open to everything, to everyone. Unbridled, unlimited. Din judges exactly what is right and what is wrong. Let me give you, we spoke about it other times. If somebody is giving tzedakah, and he says, here, open. Anybody who needs, come and take what you need. Come and take. So everybody comes. What are they going to come? What are they going to take? They take what they need. Right? That's one way. Another way is, everybody comes, and he asks them, how many children do you have at home? How much money do you make? And here, this is what you need. It may even end up that they get the same as if they had taken it themselves. You know, so it's not a question of quantity. It's a question of how it comes through. It comes through chesed. There was no, it didn't come through the conduit, through the process of exact judgment. Take, eat until you're full. And then there is a judgment, how much you need. That's din. This whole question of how much do you need, if they're going to take the same things, why do you ask how much you need? Let them take it. The answer is that in chesed, when you let them take it, they don't even realize the fact that they are taking, that there is a giver and a taker. They come and take. In din, since this one is giving and this one is taking, then he has to give a reckoning. What are you taking? For how much? By what reason?
So he's related more in the...
So he's related more to the giver, to the giver. This is the principle of deen. It has to be exact. And in there, you form a distance between the giver and the taker. And you can look at him from a distance and say, okay, how much does he need? If he is completely in you, inside, you can judge.
There's like two opposites. From one way you closer, you're more late. From the another way you are more distant.
The distance makes you more aware. In Chesed, you're closer, but you're not aware. In Deen, you're distant, but that's why you come aware. That's why you need both, Chesed and Deen. This is called Shem Elokim. Shu b'chinas midas hadin v'hatzimtzum l'tzamtzim v'l'halim ha'oir. It is to mitzamtzim, to contract ul'halim ha'oir, to conceal the oil. And what is the concealment? The concealment is that whatever comes through comes in a very measured manner. V'chein kol ha'halomis v'hastirim shabo'ilamis. All the different stages, types of halomis v'hastirim in the world. V'heim ha'parsois v'ha'mesochim, the distance and mesochim, the curtains ha'mavdilim, bein kol oilam v'oilam, that separate between the worlds. B'oilam atzmai. And then also within each world itself, there is also Shem Elokim, there is also the concealment. K'mei haparso sheba atzilus, as the parso that is within Atzilus itself. Sheyesh parso bein moichin lemidos. There's a parso. There's a distance between moichin and midos. And then uparso hamapsekes ben atzilus librio. And that which separates between atzilus and brio. Be'ilam habrio yesh parsois hanal. Within the world of brio there is also parsois. V'chein ben brio liyitziro ben yitziro la'asiyo. Ubachol oilom yesh parsois hanal. In every world, in every place there is this parsois. V'hakoil hu mishem Elokim. This entire structure of distance and parsois is coming and representative of the Shem Elokim. The Giluyim in the world is from Shem Havai, and the Parsoyas and the Tintzumim is from Shem Elokim. Olafi Hanal, according to this explanation. Harebei Shem is the Havaya ve'Elokim hem hafochim zeh mizeh. Therefore, these two names are opposite from each other. The Zeh Mokir HaGilui, the Zeh Mokir HaHester. One is the source of the revelation, and one is the source of concealment. Therefore, the question comes back: how do we say Havaya Elokim is Kul Echad? We can discuss this further, but we'll have more chances to come back to this. We got the point of this. However, the Indian to understand this is an Ipsori Echzer Lekach Si. The Pasuk says, Mipsori Echzer Lekach. From my own flesh, I can see godliness, God. It says in parentheses, Diksiv Nasa Odom Etzalmini Kid Musein. Because the Pasuk says that Odom was made in our likeness, in our form, in our likeness. Odom Nasa B'Tzelem Udmus Shalamayla. Meaning to say that the Odom is actually reflective of the form and likeness, the way things are above. And thus, from understanding the koiches hanefesh, novin eichu lamayla, we will understand how the inyanim are lamayla. See, Odom is different than all other creatures. All animals are also alive, and they react. They have midas. They react. They get scared. They get ferocious. They attack. They fall back. But in the entire creation, and animals included, there isn't a process where from one koya comes the next, comes the next. It's an intuitive, it's a direct reaction. Just like if I kick this watch, the watch is going to move. The watch didn't make a decision to move. It was moved, so it moves. So just like physically, there's such thing you can move it and it moves. There is also spiritual, that the life, the emotional life of the animal has the same thing. It moves automatically. Even though it wasn't physically pushed, but it was pushed through some kind of a impression, and that made it recoil or attack. But there's no decision process. Therefore, the action is not a full-fledged action. Like you say, this watch moved. The watch moved, but it did not move. It was made to move. But as a human being, he is Kid Musayn. He is like the Yonim Lamayla. Just like the Lamayla, it is a real action. If I do something, it's because I do it, I want to do it. Odom has the same thing. Therefore, Odom is representative of the full structure of a whole world, of a whole entity. From the beginning to end. even though the human being also lives in the big world, and the world is there already, when it comes to the world is fully functioning. But really, every human being is a world unto himself. And he makes his own world. He starts from scratch. Where is he going to live? And what kind of life he's going to have. And it's decided by his mind. He makes a decision. This is what I'm going to do. At the time when he makes a decision, this is what I'm going to do, that thing doesn't exist. Now he has to plan out, okay, how am I going to get there? The animal doesn't have that process. He eats what he sees, what comes. Not this, what are you going to have for dinner? What are you going to have for dinner? That's what did you have? That's what you're going to have for dinner. Human being is a totally different creature. It's a full, whole entity. Every human being. And therefore, from a human being, the way things are processed in a human being, we can understand the way things are in the mind. Since that he has this whole process, he has the ayin, the inception, before anything is created, before anything is formulated, to all the way to the bottom when it's actually executed. Acted on, made the action.
You mean Ein? Ein is when he's born?
No, I don't mean Ein when he's born. I mean Ein when he's relative in comparison to his action. It's when he first begins to formulate his idea. And why do I have that idea? Why do I, this which leads him to make that, to form that plan.
I had formed an idea, but from where it's from mine, I don't know.
That's right. Because he encompasses this whole thing and goes through a process, goes through a perfect process. There's nothing there that's impulsive. He thinks it through, and the idea germinates, and becomes real, it develops, and then it becomes seichel, and then it goes into midas, then it goes to machshava, and into maisa. So he represents a whole, the whole structure, the whole process. That's mamash and moshel the way the young man lamayla.
We also have like animal instincts, natural reaction, like danger.
Yeah, but we have animal instincts. We have also feet, from the ground. But all of these, everything that we have, gets processed through our mind. We're aware that we're scared. And the animal is not even aware of it. It's just reacting. The human being is aware. Like I explained it, many times, that the baby, before it walks, it knows what walking is. Doesn't work instinctively, like I know.
Yeah, but if you scream on him, he starts to cry. But he's not going through the process. Like he's scared, like hunger. He's wanna eat.
That's correct. And through these experiences, he develops an understanding. So the initial crying is just instinctive. But even his instinct has to do with his mind. He feels uncomfortable, he's lost. He doesn't know why he's crying in terms of danger or anything. It's his mind tells him he's not comfortable in his mind. The discomfort that he feels is in his mind, not in his instinct.
Hunger, like if you occupied with something, you worry about something, even you didn't eat, like usually you should be hungry, you forget about this.
Say again?
Like also hunger, like let's say I eat 2 o'clock lunch every day, but if it's like bad, it was something important happened until the evening I
Don't feel it.
I did, you're not feeling this in a control when
It's true. Okay, so we have more chances to get into this. The hine bekeches hanefesh. And how do we understand from keches hanefesh the union of Elokus? The following way. For in keches hanefesh yesh gam kein, there too there is koyach hagilu v'koyach hagbola v'hester. There is the koyach hagilu. There's the koyach, whose principal union is revelation, and there is the koyach, whose principal union is limiting and concealing. Okmoi koyach haseichel lahaskel haskolis. Okay. As for example, in koyach haseichel, the koyach haseichel. What is koyach haseichel? Lahaskel haskolis. What does it mean, lahaskel haskolis? What kind of terminology is this? The word haskola means an idea. An idea, something that you understand. Lahaskel haskolis means to understand an idea. When you say that you can understand an idea, this means that this is an idea among other ideas. There are more than one idea. There are many ideas. So here, at this level of understanding, you're speaking about a specific idea. You're not speaking about the overall ability to understand. You're talking about a specific thing to understand an isolated point. To focus in and understand an isolated point, a specific point. What's meant lahaskel haskolis. What is this in contrast with? So let's see this. This is have to follow very carefully. Koy haseichel is lahaskel haskolis. Harehu nimshach. This koy haseichel haskel haskolis, it comes and is drawn mikoyach hamaskil shebenefesh. It's drawn from the koyach hamaskil that's in the nefesh. What is that? That's not koyach haseichel. That's koyach hamaskil. The koyach that makes you understand. What is that? Shehu koyach hiyuli, which is an essential koyach. Al kol mina giluya sichli, for all kinds of sichli. So let's say, here's the point. If a person understands that 2 times 2 equals to 4, and he understands that particular point very clearly, how did he come to understand it? Because he is able to understand 2 times 2 equals to 4? Or is it because he has an overall ability to understand anything? That he has an overall, a general ability to understand anything. And from that, he drew the ability to focus in and understand this point.
What the first one?
The first one is that he has the ability to understand this point only.
Only this?
Yeah, is this a specific ability to understand 2 times 2 equals to 4? You get the point?
Yeah, I try to think if it exists such a people that people understand only 2 plus 2.
No, it's not so. If you can write A, I know that I can teach you how to write B. How do I know? You can only write A. The answer is that in order to learn how to write A, you have to be able to understand the whole concept of writing. And if you understand that, I can teach you how to write something else.
You have some people limit, but not everybody can understand everything. Stuck, yes, some people cannot able to understand this, and something they're not able to understand.
Right. And that has to do with how well their seichel is developed. In other words, there's 2 levels. There's koyach HaMaskil and there's koyach HaSeichel. Koyach HaMaskil, this is a koyach HaYuli, this is part of the koyach HaNefesh. If it's a Nefesh HaOdom, he has koyach HaMaskil. And he should be able to understand anything.
It's equal by everybody.
It's not equal by anybody, but there is differences in how deeply and how high you'll understand it. But the ability to have a general ability to understand is by everyone.
Short term, your thought, like everybody in his level. And
that's mitzad koyach HaMaskil. Then when it comes to koyach HaSeichel, that is not equally developed. It's not equal at all. It's not only not developed. Sometimes the brain is too coarse to develop, to focus in on the very sharp sichlim. You can understand general things, more coarse things.
It's already physical problem?
No, but the problem is not the point. The point is that there are differences in that. And that's in the koyach HaSeichel. For our purposes, what we're to understand over here is that the koyach HaSeichel comes from the koyach HaMaskil. 2 very different levels. Two very different levels. Koyach HaMaskil is, yes, there's such thing as understanding, undefined, and anything that comes my way, I'll try to understand. Koyach HaSeichel is how I take from that koyach, from that overall koyach HaYuli, which is undefined, from the ability to understand.
So with Koach HaSeichel, it's light or it's kale? Koach HaSeichel is the light or it's kale?
Both. It's a combination of oil and keli. Everything is in keli together. Koyach HaMaskil is Oyer, not Keli. Koyach HaYuli is undefined. But Seichel is already in the Keli. Different levels in that. So the Pshat, Koyach HaSeichel is Lahaskil Haskolos. To understand Haskolos, understand different Haskolos, many Haskolos. And that comes from a Koyach Hiyuli that is a Koyach Hiyuli that is the inception Koyach to understand Kol Mine Gilui Sichlis. To understand any kind of Seichel.
Exception is potential. You feel like it's example from Flintstone, right?
What?
Flintstone have a potential to give a fire, but if you take to the part of the Flintstone, you're not going to find it.
We have to understand the word potential. Yet it is potential. It is potential for the seichel, for the sichli, but it is an atzmi unto itself. I want to go a little bit deeper and illustrate to you what I mean. A person learns sichli, and he accumulates a lot of seichel. He knows a lot of different things. And everything that he knows is added unto his knowledge. Stored away someplace in his mind. He learns another thing, a new thing. It's added. These new things that are added, he could know them and he could not know them. He can remember them and he could forget them. That means it doesn't become one with him. It's added unto him. So from that perspective, these are just things that are separate from the person, added to the person, to the person's mind. At the same time, there's another side to this seichel. And the other side to the seichel is that when a person understands something specific, even though this is something which is addition to his mind, added onto his mind, nevertheless, from one perspective, he feels perfectly comfortable with it. He doesn't feel like he has something extraneous, something added to his mind. He feels that this is his one with it. Not added. It's me, it's my understanding. Otherwise, the person would go crazy. He knows 1,000 things and all floating around in his mind, and sometimes they're contradictory. Everything has its place. And he feels perfectly comfortable. When he understands something, he understands it. He doesn't feel like he's in a different world. He's into himself. What is that? That is because they all come from the Koyach HaMaskil. It's true they're different sichli. But what makes them understandable to him is because he has Koyach HaMaskil. So in a certain sense, they're all equal. From that perspective, they're all equal. Like a person says, anything that's logical, anything that makes sense, I can accept. Why? Because he has Koyach HaMaskil. Even though the logic and the sense of this seichel is completely different than logic and the sense of this seichel.
not unite with him, it's not from the Koach HaMaskil.
What?
See, we have two information like logics. One is it's become part of the rule, and one is like put in the memory. But they both come from the fact I can understand them. They both come from Koach HaMaskil.
That's right. So the essence of it is from Koach HaMaskil. His personal relationship to it is from Koach HaMaskil. But he has it and he knows it at a lower level. So this lower level is not one with him. But his personal relationship to it is one with him. When you walk with your feet. So you could say, from one perspective, you could say, my feet are walking. And you can also say, equally correctly, even better, more correctly, I am walking. So which one is it? You are walking or your feet are walking?
Actually, it's I'm walking.
I am walking, and the reason that my feet can walk is because I am walking. Otherwise, I'd feel uncomfortable with my feet walking. Like I said, the child has to relate to the idea of walking first before he can walk. The horse walks because his feet are walking. A human being walks because I am walking. He has to be able to relate to it.
So how you make that you have some ideas, so how you make that it should be I'm walking and not my feet walking?
This is the natural way that a human being's mind works. If I can't, it's unnatural, but it happens when a person becomes involved in chitzonius. Like these people who go to school, colleges. They aren't interested in what they're studying. They're just interested in answering the questions and getting a diploma. So these things are all chitzonius. Doesn't mean anything to them. But normally when a person uses his seichel, it's him understanding. Not my seichel understands. No, yeah, I understand. Even though it is also true my seichel understands to different levels. I understand this in the koyach ha'yuli, koyach ha'maskil. My seichel understands that's in the seichel. The seichel comes from the koyach ha'maskil.
The idea with I like it, I feel one with it, so it's like the seichel become erased. I don't need it's like working by me now automatically, like I don't know.
No. The thing is that a person, the nefesh, expresses itself in the guf. In other words, the whole person consists of the koyach hamaskil and the koyach haseichel. If he only has the koyach hamaskil, he's not an active person. He has to have koyach haseichel. He has to know things in specific knowledge. It's called koyach haseichel. Where in the koyach haseichel, the koyach hamaskil is involved in koyach haseichel, but it is only a ha'ora of the koyach hamaskil. not the Etzer. The Ha'ora, the Koach HaMaskil, comes into Koach HaSeichel. That's why, when you look at the person, you think that his feet are walking. But in this walking, a Ha'ora of his Seichel is also involved there, and therefore, from that Ha'ora perspective, you could say he is walking.
And then, let's say I don't know how to write, right? When I study, I use my seichel very much. I remember this letter like this, like this, like this. And after a year, I can write already without seichel. I don't think how to write. It's like flow. It's become part of me. It's like, so it's mean that I'm not using to seichel to.
No, you're absolutely using the Seichel. Absolutely. Except you're used to it, it goes fast and all that. Absolutely, you're thinking to write an A, a B, nothing writes automatically. Your hand is never going to write automatically.
Something you're doing, not to thinking. It's like going automatically.
Yeah, because you thought about it before.
So like my memory, like its process is just going much faster than.
That's right. It's still due to the fact that you thought it through before. Dr. Rebbe explains this in Tanya. A person can speak, can say things and not even be aware that he said them. You know, did I take this? Did I say Ashley or I didn't say Ashley? Because his mouth runs automatically. But his mouth runs because he had thought of these words many, many times before. And he has them at the level of words, not the level of potential. No, actual. He actually experienced it, experimented with it.
So this jump from my legs walking and then I walking. First of all, I didn't know how to walk. It was my leg walking, right? I study something new, like it's not. I don't do this automatically. Like it's like look like my legs walking.
No. First, you, as a human being, you can relate to walking. That's I walking. And if I walk, if I can walk, in other words, if it makes sense to me, then I can teach my legs to walk.
Like something and it's like external. It's not. I just know they exist, like and know that it's external. It's not part of me. Some things, it's yes, part of me. It's like.
Right.
How I relate the seed which is outside me, like to me, how I put this inside.
Right. The principle of the part of me that you're referring to is a different concept. Any human action, any action the person does, it's not enough for the person to know how to do this. He has to also recognize that this is a good thing to do. This is the right thing to do. It makes sense to do it. When you realize that it makes sense to do it and it becomes personally involved on that level, then you say it's part of me. Otherwise, I know how to do it. Why? I know how to do it because of this potential, because I'm asking, I know how to do it, and I learned how to do it. But I can relate to it from a different perspective. Why should I spend time doing this? It's a waste of my time. It's not really valuable to me.
If you want to, that something should be part of you, you should prove to yourself 100% is like good thing to do.
It's a good thing to do. It's valuable. It's a different thing. Okay?